Welcome, Sabine. New on the list of YouTube subs. Thank you to everyone who joined the Patreon in the last week as well. Really appreciate that. Started getting things ready for our community monthly at the end of the month. So if you've just tuned in and you're new to the channel, this is a stream called Indies Under the Knife that I do once a week, which anyone could submit a game to, and I play it and give feedback. And the community monthly is just for our kind of Discord members who have supported the channel on Patreon or been invited for some other reason, helping the community. And I'm Joe, and this is my sort of surgery where I play people's work in progress games and give feedback on them. I've been working professionally as a game designer for like 10 years, sort of dipping in and out of teaching, bit of time in industry, mostly in mobile games. And then a bit of time teaching, another bit of time in industry, done some wacky stuff. But I've made my own little games, little experimental games and projects like that. But most of my work has been working for other people, doing design for them, or helping them with things like production and project management and stuff like that. So this channel is kind of my way of sharing the expertise I've built up over the years and helping to apply it to indie games. So there are a couple of rules for this stream in particular, this Thursday stream. The games that are sent to me have to be works in progress. So we have one outlier here, I think it's Spear, is a game that has actually been commercially released, but it was only released on May the 5th. So I think this one was sent to me before it was released. But still, I generally try to avoid playing games that have been commercially released on this stream, and that is because the purpose of the stream is to give feedback on games that are still being worked on, and not just to kind of promote games that you've kind of made and released and are already kind of charging money for. So there's a form to submit games to this. People email me games all the time. They sort of catch a brief glimpse of what I do on YouTube and maybe don't really pay attention or look at my homepage or anything like that, and they email me games. Those get deleted. You have to follow the process. There's a reason I've set up that process. It makes things easier for me to organize, makes it easier for me to group games together by theme, like I'm doing today with platformer games. And it just helps to kind of keep the stream what it is, which is a showcase for games that are work in progress and a place for us to discuss game design and how these games could be made better. So hi, Dustin, in the chat. And one of the things I love about doing these streams is we get really helpful feedback from the chat. So in most cases, we usually end up with at least one of the developers hanging out and present as the stream goes on, and if not, they can watch it later and kind of get some feedback. I have 2 hours, so we've got half an hour with each of these games, and I've installed them already and put them all on here because they're all Steam games. So we've got Gravity Storm, Grav Shift, 2 games with Grav in the title, because I guess gravity is a basic feature of a platformer. A Spear and Maiden, and the reason I group games together like this is so we can kind of compare them as well. Sometimes the grouping is done by theme, sometimes it's done by mood, like cozy or horror, and sometimes it's done by genre. I do not have strong feelings about platformers either way. In my mind, a platformer is like all of the things that people describe as platformers. It's effectively really just a camera angle and how do you move the character around and jumping. And that's not, I mean, it's a genre, but it's not enough to tell me whether or not I'm going to like a game. There are platformers that are Metroidvanias, there are platformers that are sort of platformer roguelikes now. There are platformers that are more based on walking around doing puzzles and less based on physically jumping and avoiding hazards and stuff like that. I can't really know if I'm going to like a platformer or not before I start playing it, so I don't have an overarching feeling about this genre. Right? This one appears to not have controller implementation, which always feels a bit strange with platformers, because I feel like they're like a controller native genre. Oh no, it does. Sorry, I didn't have the window focused. So we're going to check out Gravity Storm first. Good music to start. I like the level of contrast on this menu as well. It's kind of very easy to see what we're looking at. So we've got... And I'm just going to get my spreadsheet up on the other screen and just see what the developers said about this. So this is Gravity Storm. You control Project Gravity Storm, an advanced machine able to control gravity itself. Shoot and dash through levels full of robots gone rogue. Set in a space station. This is an action platformer with a heavy focus on level design. Okay, cool. I feel like the kind of reversing or doing stuff with gravity thing has been used a lot, but it's always more about the implementation of the idea than the idea itself, you know? Got some nice debris from smashing that stuff. Press B to change gravity. Nice. That feels pretty great. So I've got jump, I've got gravity switch, and I've got the normal thing that you get in a lot of platformers, which is if you duck and press jump, you can drop through a platform. But when the gravity is reversed, we can also like platform drop on a on the other way round. So directional fire. Ah, I see. That one's a little bit awkward. You've got to like down and forward like you're doing a fireball in Street Fighter or something. Yeah, I think that the ducking where you kind of shoot forward is quite awkward to get used to, but that's not necessarily a problem. It's just the first thing I've had a brief sticking point with. Oh, oh! Just gonna Pac-Man my way down here a little bit. Left trigger and X to use the super laser. Don't mind if I do. Hold left trigger and B to use the super flip. Okay. So the left trigger does sort of powered up versions of the jump and the gravity flip. And it uses up your kind of orange energy bar. That feels reasonably intuitive. And then we've got super dash as well. That's great. Press start and select end tutorial. That was a decent tutorial structure. And we had the tutorial in that kind of holographic VR world, which means that now it feels a bit more grounded that we've gone into a real place. The kind of color palette of this and the color palette, the style of the pixel art really feels like sort of early 90s or maybe 80s sort of early PC platformers like Commander Keen, and I think there was a Duke Nukem before it was Duke Nukem 3D that kind of looked a bit like this. Sort of giving that kind of style. I think there's been quite a lot of thought put into the color here, where we don't have like as high contrast in the background, so it's doing a lot of the things I would want pixel art to do in terms of the visual design. And there's some nice little touches on the character, because like I think, if I'm honest, this character doesn't feel full of character, if that makes sense. But I really like the run cycle, it's quite cute. I like that when you duck, and if you kind of go between ducking and pushing forward, you get this nice little kind of head animation. The character feels sweet. They're like, you know, a character I can care about, I guess. That's kind of what I'm getting at. But I think the thing that this would... Yeah, the thing a lot of people would associate this with would be things like Mega Man. And Mega Man is quite cute. You know, there's a human face in there with eyes and stuff. So you have to do a lot of work to make something as likable as Mega Man in a kind of robotic setting. That was great. Okay, so you can flip gravity in a way that makes enemies hit stuff and then you don't have to shoot them. What I like about that is it creates lots of different things you can do in each situation. So, if I'm right, then a lot of the combat interactions in this, you might be able to solve a lot of them more than one way, and I like that already. See? Reverse the gravity, drop the block on the thing from the floor to the ceiling. Like the developer said, this is a project that's mostly about level design, and I think they're right, because a lot of these interactions, like the interactions where we're using the gravity in interesting ways, it feels like a lot of thought has gone into those. And this is the thing, like level design is a separate discipline from game design. It's like you use game design to make a toolkit or a toy box of interactions, and then as a level designer you find interesting ways to put those interactions together. I think this is doing a very good job of that. The setting is a little bit vanilla for me, it's a little bit bland, but because it is a generic kind of space sci-fi setting, it allows us to treat the sort of environment in a reasonably abstract way. And for this type of level design you need that a little bit. If it looked too much like a real place, it would start to feel weird and contrived, I think. Not to everyone, but to someone like me that thinks too hard about this stuff, then definitely. Squish! Yeah! Pulling off the squishes is really satisfying. I don't know why I did that. I don't know. My timing is terrible on this. Right, here we go. That feels quite trippy, trying to jump downwards. That's the first time where the kind of gravity flipping has really started to hurt my brain a little bit, is when I'm trying to pop up over something to shoot and like that. It feels so strange. It's good though. Yeah, there are some pretty neat ways to use the gravity mechanic to kill enemies. We've had using gravity to flip enemies so that they fly up towards spikes on the ceiling. We've had that. We've had dropping stuff on their head. It does feel like there's already quite a lot of nice ways of using the mechanics together. I need some health. Or a checkpoint, that's fine. That works also. Oh! That was great. Ugh. Really great level design in terms of showing you all of the different ways that mechanic can be used. Ah! So many of them. Whoa. So I think I need to switch on that, but I also seem to need to hit it when it's open, which is a difficult set of things to do at the same time. Maybe just go past it. Don't have to fight everything. Not sure if I was just supposed to try and kill that yellow thing or just run past it, but it seemed like the sensible thing to do, so hope I'm not missing out on something by being a coward. We... You can't... Oh, you can change it mid-air. Yeah, so if you see the top left, there's that icon that's red currently. You can basically flip twice in one jump. But after that, it goes into that grey square, and then you can't do it anymore. That kind of is quite a nice, clear way of communicating that. I like that. I think the big question for this game, as a project generally, is it's going to be how do you expand it, because you know I think it's been a while since I actually bought a sort of retro-styled platformer, so I can't speak as a member of the audience for this. But my general feeling would be, you know, when I play a Sonic or I play a Donkey Kong or whatever, I sort of expect there to be distinct areas that are like different kind of biomes of levels that have different characteristics and challenges in them and feel a bit different to play. And it would be interesting to see where this goes with that, because we're in quite a kind of generic station at the moment. So are we going to get different parts of a space station, sort of like Metroid? Is there opportunity to go onto kind of a planet and have a jungle or have a, you know, moon or something? And in that case, what objects do we get in the world that provide new interactions with the gravity mechanics, you know? That's what I would be thinking about next, because I think this is very, very solid. Like, I like everything I'm seeing here. It looks charming. It has a particular kind of... It's not just retro in a general sense. It's like that kind of late 80s, early 90s PC platformer retro. And I find that quite charming. And yeah, everything feels pretty decent. It's just like, how do you provide the variety to turn it into a long enough game for people to want to play it for a long time, you know? I'm going to see if these... not even too sure if these are destructible. Yeah, they are. Okay. So, I might have even destroyed one before, but I just... It's a difficult sort of game to play and talk about at the same time, especially with my grandpa reactions, but... Okay, now I know these are destructible, I can proceed in a more productive way. So, oh, accidentally kited him into the saws. That was great. There's another one here, right? Big laser! I forgot about big laser. Thank you, Dustin. I will use big laser. I'm gonna save it up for the hard one. Oh yeah, okay, the big laser is like a hold and fire thing, so... Amazing. That made my life so much easier. Yeah, I think that's the sort of thing that if you... I wouldn't take too much from my playtest of this, but if you see multiple people play it and they all forget about the laser, then maybe Maybe you need some points earlier on in the level that reteach it, because we had that in the tutorial, and then I didn't use it again, and then I forgot about it. And that's not to say you should design your game around my bad memory specifically, but it's now something to watch out for in other playtests. Because if multiple people struggle to remember about that feature, then maybe it's just a case of, like, we need some... Just in the level design of the first level, we need some walls that you have to blast through with that laser or something. Just to remind us, you know? What are you? Why am I not able to hack into your system? There's nothing like you in my database. Grr. Ah! Okay, I need to switch when... There we go. That's also very satisfying, because when she starts rolling like that, you can actually use her movement to hit more parts of her with the laser. This is really great boss design. Oh. Oh, that was such a good way to die. This is really good boss design. You know, you have this thing in boss design generally where you kind of have a game where you're fighting one or two things at a time, and in order to make the boss more difficult than the main game, you can't just make it like one big bullet sponge enemy. You often have to make like modular bosses, so it's like a set of tentacles for the same creature or something. This is a very, very good example of a modular boss. And the other thing that is interesting here is there's a concept in game design called opportunity space, which is like, if it's called space, but it's an abstract idea. It's like, if you look at a chessboard, what are all the possible moves that you could do at the current moment? That's kind of what opportunity space is. And what happens here is, as you destroy the parts of the modular boss, you then have less to destroy, but that means you have to run around and aim more. It's a bit like when you play pool or snooker. When you first start off, you can kind of smash all the balls, and the likelihood of just randomly potting one is quite high, but the more clear the table gets, the more skilled you have to be. So it kind of becomes an auto-balancing thing. In the example in snooker or pool is that the opportunity space shrinks as the pieces are moved from the board, and that's exactly what's happening in this boss battle as well, which is really, really a neat piece of design. So if you're designing bosses for your games, pay attention to what this one does, because it's achieving a lot of things at once. We're gradually disarming the boss and making it less dangerous by taking its weapons away, but as we do that, we have to run around more to be able to hit things and do any damage. Ah! Should have said possibility space, actually, is what it's generally called, referred to as in game design, not opportunity space, but same thing. Oh. Whoa, oh, we've got a different mode now. That bit's staying there and doing that now. That's great. That was a good mode switch. keep forgetting about my dash as well. It's quite forgiving in terms of giving you health throughout the boss fight as well, which I appreciate. Really hardcore people might think it's a bit too soft, but I think it's just right. That was great. Really, really neat. Dustin in the chat said, how would you expect things to change in different environments? How do you plan for those in terms of gameplay? I mean, okay, we're getting a visually different environment here. We're getting higher health enemies. That's fine, that's kind of what you expect. I think having, like, enemies that are upgraded a bit and they look different but they're essentially the same behavior is a nice way of providing variety without making it confusing, because it's like they do this really well in Rogue Legacy games. You have like different levels of the same character and they have some slightly different attributes, but they're fundamentally the same thing, but they also clearly look different. They're like a reskin as well. And you want to be able to learn that this thing that looks that way does that thing and so on. So you don't want to introduce too many varieties of things too quickly, but you also don't want people to get bored or to see the game early on and think, oh, there's not much variety in this, I won't bother with it. That was crazy. The looping voids are very, very strange. They tickle my brain in a particular way. I mean, the thing that I like here, if we're thinking about the level design of this, the thing I like here is we've moved into the second level and it's very clearly got its own gimmick for the level, which is enemies approach you through the looping void, and we're using the looping void thing a lot more, the vertical loop of the level, we're using that a lot more here. And I like that. It's not like we're not doing every level as a grab bag of every mechanic. We're focusing on getting you used to a particular mechanic at once, and that's a really good way to generally structure the challenge so that people don't have to learn too much in one go. Although I'm there's quite a lot of game mechanics I'm having to use here and controls I'm having to use. It also just makes the areas feel like they have their own character, and I think that's important in one of these. Oh. Have to not let those energy blips fade, because I keep leaving them on the ground and then not getting my powers back. Yeah, I think a little bit, if I were going to take this and like design new stuff for it, I would probably insert some stuff early on that helps to reinforce the special moves that you use with the trigger button, because you have a special dash, a special flip, a special laser. I just keep forgetting to use them. But you also need that resource, that yellow resource, to be able to use them. Like that. Whee. Ah. Ah. I overcorrected and went the wrong way. Right, I need to switch games now. That one is wicked. I really like that. It's going to be interesting to see how it develops. I think when you're making a very kind of challenge-based game with linear levels, I think the approach I would generally use, and I kind of feel like this is what's happening here, is, make less levels than you intend to for the full game, obviously, and make them reasonably novel. Like what we saw there is we went from one level to the next, and the next level had a very clear gimmick that made it feel very different. We're traveling left to right. The direction of travel is different. The kind of shape of the level is different. And we have a kind of emphasis on that core mechanic of things being able to do the wraparound jump from the bottom to the top or the top to the bottom. And that's great because it does a couple of things. It gives the player variety and it also reassures the player that this game isn't going to be a series of levels that are all just the same thing repeated. But then in a kind of longer version of this game, you might want to put some more levels in the gaps just to kind of reteach and reframe some of those mechanics. So, maybe a level early on that is just all about smashing through walls with the laser and stuff like that. Because some of the stuff that was taught in the tutorial, we don't have a reason to use it again immediately after. And then that's probably the main reason why I was forgetting to use all the special moves that use the trigger button. But I really like that. And interesting to see how that one develops moving forward. Let's check out Grav Shift, which I think has a similar concept, but is about a ball. Always approach games where you play as a ball tentatively. I've done videos about this before. I think you need a reason for it to be a ball that isn't just that you could only make a ball, You need a user-facing reason. A player-focused reason of why it's a ball. Every time you've got a... Sorry, I've got a very squeaky chair today. Every time you've got like a constraint on your end, like what art you can make or what you can implement in terms of code, you still need to make that work in terms of making it appealing to the players, because players are never going to just like go, well, it's okay, I don't mind, I can see this was made by a small developer. Generally don't think that way, so... Okay, let's do tutorial first. Right, that's pretty nicely rendered. Okay. Jump. B on the controller. This tutorial is doing way too much text. Because you've got a game that is about flow and like getting immersed in how something feels to use. So this kind of stuff is like goal-based stuff, right? Of telling me if you do this, you'll get points. If you do this, you'll level up. I think a player wants to be playing for at least 2 or 3 minutes before you start introducing this longer term stuff. Because here you're saying, here's your kind of long-term goal of why you're doing this. I don't even know if I enjoy doing the activity yet, right? So let me enjoy doing the activity. This is one of the things about tutorials in general, is in kind of... I mean, we use this term in general commercial game design, but you've got your first time user experience, which is what happens in a player's first session. And you've got a tutorial, which is like explicitly teaching people how to play the game, right? Players recognize it's a tutorial. And then you've got the general concept of onboarding, which is like, how do I get people into my game? And that includes the tutorial. And it's partly what happens in the first time user experience. It could be your first couple of sessions, you're being onboarded into the game, you're learning how to play it. But onboarding also includes showing the player what there is to like about your game, right? So it's onboarding them into wanting to play your game, not just knowing how to play your game. And the problem with this tutorial approach at the moment is it's interrupted me so much that my rolling and jumping to reading ratio is just totally out of whack for the type of game it is, you know? Look at the presentation, listen to the music. This is meant to be a bombastic experience, not a cerebral experience, right? And when you go for that kind of game, when you go for an action game that is bombastic and is meant to be about feeling things and just kind of pure movement and the joy of scoring points by doing a little jump and stuff, then you're totally out of line with the type of player that wants to read lots of text, right? Players would be more forgiving of this type of tutorial if it's for a strategy game, not for an action game, especially a relatively casual action game. Okay. Yeah, let's just go straight for the... So we've got an Undying. Spikes and other hazards will not kill you. Okay. What's the proper... We've got 2 modes, and I don't know which one is kind of the quote-unquote proper game. We've got a speedrun mode. Collecting coins will increase your forward speed. Jumping will slow you down. We've got Undying, which is where spikes and other hazards are in the level, but they don't do anything, which feels a bit weird. Oh, you will lose your score. Okay, got it. I find this approach a little bit... I'm thinking partly as a designer and partly as a player here. When I see something like this, it makes me feel like you haven't worked out which one of these is actually the game. And it feels like, you know, what you're doing is experimenting and you're not really settled on whether speedrun or Undying is the main mode. So you've presented them as being like of equal importance. And as a kind of general structure for a game, I just want to go in and be told this is the main type of the game. And then if you have other modes, they're things that maybe unlock later on, maybe as a reward, maybe as a secret, maybe just after I've played a little bit of the first mode, whatever it is. But I want to know what the core experience is as a player. I want to be guided to say, right, this is the main thing of the game, play it, see what you think, then you can try these other modes. You can try challenge mode, you can try story mode, whatever the modes are. You know, pick a main mode, make it clear what that is. Because this kind of makes it feel like you're not sure what you want the game to be. And that doesn't inspire confidence in me as a player. I'm going to try speedrun. Just because I know what that means. And again, if you limit, if you say, if you're clear about which is the main mode, then again, you're asking players to read less. You're not having to sit there and read what the different modes do and then pick one. You know, this is the type of game that is very like reaction based, and people who play this want a sort of relatively mindless experience. They don't want to have to sit there and analyze which mode they're more interested in doing. Just give them the experience that the game promises. Feels pretty good though. So, okay, so pressing A shifts gravity, like in the last game. So when it's pale cyan like that, gravity is inverted. And then I have B to jump. It kind of operates a bit like a sort of endless runner, where you're jumping over things as you go. But it also bounces you back off of things, and I don't feel very much like I feel like I'm in control of the environment rather than the ball. And that's okay if that's what you're going for. So it kind of feels like one of those marble rolling games where you're moving the maze rather than controlling the ball. And you're controlling it indirectly. Which is kind of, I don't know, it feels quite nice. But yeah, it's got a kind of pinball marble maze type feel to everything. And I'm definitely doing better than the first time, which... I mean, for a skill-based game, this might sound very obvious, but that is one of the things to check for when you're watching people and they're playtesting your game, is do they get better? Because if they don't get better, they either don't understand the game, or the game just isn't skill-based and it's totally random, right? If people don't seem to improve. So in those first two little sections, I went from picking up like a third of the coins to maybe 2/3 or something. And you can you seem to be able to use the bounce back off of certain objects to go back and collect other things. It's not very precise, but it is fun, I guess, in a very goofy, chaotic way. Nice little moments of slow motion that I'm not sure how I triggered, but feel quite nice. I also think when you make a very, very abstract game like this or Super Hexagon, it needs to be really kind of stylish. And the typographic choices here, these kind of broken bits around the edge with this it's kind of tearing a little bit on my screen in terms of the art. The lines around these, it doesn't feel very deluxe in terms of the way that this interface generally looks. And I think if you're going to go down the very abstract route of it's a circle when you're in a cyber abstract world, it does need to look very kind of polished. I think that is a route you could go down. It's not the route I find personally exciting, but that's more of a taste thing than anything. I think this would have infinitely more appeal if this was like a little vehicle and it felt like we were in a world or something like that, but that's more of a personal taste thing than anything. But I do think if you're going to go down this route of, you know, minimalist neon punk type stuff, then you need to look at things like Res and Super Hexagon and just work out how to make it look a little bit more. I think the color contrast and the readability of objects is pretty decent, but the stuff like the typography and the graphic design in the menus is letting it down a little bit. The legibility of the font for the scoring isn't particularly good either, I'm finding. Hey Mario, thanks for the tip. I also think maybe there's a bit of an overuse of the yellow, because we're using the yellow as the colour for the stuff you collect. And then these are bumpers which add to your multiplier. I think they give you scores, so they're like they're pinball bumpers. So maybe that's okay, because they are sort of in the same category as the coins. I like the inversion transition when you change the gravity between the two blues. It's nice. I don't think you should ever write the word game over on a screen when someone's completed something. It's really, really unsettling. Right, so I go on the undying mode, which is basically the same thing, but instead of You don't lose hearts when you hit things. In which case, why are they in the interface, right? This is a different mode where you just lose coins when you hit things. You don't lose hearts. But yeah, the different modes feel a little bit underbaked, and presenting them as like both potentially being the main mode is going to confuse people. It's also going to lead to people picking the one that's not their favourite first, and then thinking that the game is not for them when actually they should have picked the other mode. Like, how are they supposed to know that, you know? Getting those those clocks when they're very close to the spikes is a satisfying little challenge. Okay, now we can do little upgrades like make the coins worth more. Double your bumper value but increase game speed. I'm not going to go for the one that's got a penalty attached to it if I can choose not to. Yeah, I think there's a really nice core game here. It feels very nice. It's easy to understand the controls. You feel like you get better at the core skill that's being tested pretty quickly. I think the graphic design in terms of like typography and menu stuff is really letting it down. And I think you need to just pick one of these modes. To me, this feels like the main mode. This Undying mode. I would have this as the main mode, and then the time attack is something you unlock later on as an additional challenge or something. It's because I think it's usually better to just guide players towards a specific mode, treat that as the main mode. So that they know what to go for. And if they like the other mode more, then great. You unlock it later and it works as a reward. But then they don't go into the mode that they don't like first and have a bad experience and then think that they don't like your game. Because I'm enjoying this mode a lot more, and it's because it's got those little breaks where you get an upgrade as well. That works for me quite a bit with this style of game where you're having to concentrate. Well, I'm not having to concentrate loads, but it's quite intense and a lot of kind of visual noise going on. So having those little upgrade breaks works very well for me. Oh, missed loads of stuff then. Yeah, Dustin in the chat said it would make sense for each mode to have its own soundtrack, so the speedrun mode would have this more intense music, and this mode is a bit more... It is a bit more about trying to collect everything. I mean, you can't really do it in your own time because it constantly pushes you forward. You can deliberately bounce yourself back a little bit, but you can't really. It's not really a take your time kind of thing. I forgot I had a jump then. I've been using the gravity switch as the main way of jumping for a long time, and I forgot I could just jump. Some good level design here as well, very pinball-y. It's like Pinball crossed with an Endless Runner kind of thing. It's how it ends up feeling to play. Yeah, I mean, the musical choices feel a bit random and like they don't belong in the same game. I think this is the sort of game where you need to, like... It's not just a matter of, like, art skill, right? Some of this stuff is taste. Like, this piece of classical music, this is like corporate classical music that you get on a training video. Or a TED Talk or something. It doesn't fit with the dubstep at all. And I know you need different moods for different areas of the game, but it's just not even the same taste profile. And then all of this stuff, it's like loosely science fiction, loosely Tron. You need to pick some stuff to base your game on and like lean into it. And often that you know, let's duck out and have a look at something else for a minute, because I think I've played that as much as I need to. A lot of that stuff is like reference things outside of games, you know. If you look at, I mean, I'm going to show Res because I referenced it earlier and people might not know about Res, so let's take a quick look at it. This is Res, which is a PS2 game. And the thing about PlayStation games, but particularly PS1 and PS2 games, is there are a lot of games that are kind of inspired by 1990s dance music and rave culture and stuff like that. And that is what's going on here, you know, and it's kind of what's going on with Wipeout as well. And I think what we just saw with Grav Shift, it just needs to kind of visually reference something and kind of maybe just lean into experimenting a bit more with the visuals and the text and stuff. And because the game feel is good. The game feel in that Grav Shift game is very interesting. And I could see myself playing that for a reasonable amount of time, but all of the kind of graphic design and art choices felt a bit bland for the type of game it is. Let's have it needs a vibe. Yeah, that's exactly it. Like Super Hexagon sort of has an easier job of it because it can be more abstract because it has less objects in it, right? So I'm going to break my internet by putting a video on during a stream. But yeah, in Super Hexagon, it's like it can be really, really abstract, but that's because it doesn't have loads of objects that you need to differentiate, like coins and stuff like that. A lot of the time, art direction is just really trying to look at things that exist outside of games and bring them in some way. And I think if you go for that kind of Tron neon punk thing, then don't do it from memory, right? Don't do your art direction from memory. This is why mood boards exist. This is why people make mood boards. So you can kind of collect visual reference and then go back to it and say, okay, how has this thing done outlines? Like, how are outlines done in this game, in this visual style of this game? What are the rules that they used in the thing I like to make it look that way? We've been doing a lot of this in the Discord recently, like particularly with things like card games where people are having to design cards and then design an interface for them to go in. And we're constantly with those projects, because some people that use our Discord, they have like a project updates channel, and we have like channels that are like general advice, like help me with this art thing, and then people have their own project updates. And one of the people that posts the most is currently making like a sci-fi deck builder, and the amount of iterations we've been through on that, talking about like the general interface of the game, the layout of the cards and stuff. And a lot of it just comes down to finding good examples of the style of thing you're trying to make, looking at them, actually looking at them, not remembering them in your head, looking at them and trying to break down the visual rules that make that style look cool. And I think that last game just needs a bit more of that done. And it doesn't really come down to like the hands-on skill of making the art for the game. It comes down to like stuff like picking typefaces, picking fonts. Like I know I'm not one to talk because my thumbnails on this channel can look pretty shoddy. But the thing is, I have the taste, and I know that if I sat with them for half an hour longer, I would make them better. It's often a matter of taste. It's a matter of looking at good examples and understanding how they do what they do. It's not necessarily like a hands-on skill. Hey, Brainoid. Yeah, watch the road. Okay, we're going to check out Spear. This is one that has actually been launched, but I think it was in my queue before it was launched. So, although I usually don't play release games on this stream, we're going to check it out anyway. Because I think that's fair, because it was submitted a while ago. Let's check out Spear. Let me know if the volumes are okay with these as well. Sometimes they vary quite a bit from game to game. So when we're doing a multiple games stream, they can be a bit all over the place. This is already interesting. We've got a menu screen that's falling apart. And the Fredoka Roblox font. They pressed new game. Okay, can I use a controller for this? Are you gonna... Yeah, okay. This is already quite charming. We have the tech gremlins in my computer saying loading screen messages as part of a story. What's going on here? Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I don't know why. Let me just take a look at my OBS settings. I don't have a thing I can do on OBS to change that, I don't think. Yeah, the game. Let's see if it has a menu for it. Very slow walk animation. I do often find this with okay, it seems to be... It's just slowing down my camera, so I'm gonna just turn my camera off. Yeah. A lot of games like this, it's like... I feel like you need to focus less on impressing people and more on allowing the largest amount of people to play your game. So, starting on your medium quality rather than your highest quality as a default, and then letting people turn it up from there is probably sensible, especially when you're at a demo stage. Because I think, you know, if you think of things in terms of economics, there's going to be more people who play your demo who can't afford to play more games, which means that statistically the amount of people who play your demo who have weaker computers are probably going to be... It's going to be a much larger group of people than people who can afford to buy full games. I think, generally. This is really charming. Got some fantastic character animations here. But I hope this isn't going to be my walk for the rest of the game.
What?
Oh no!
Oh no.
Focus on the farming looter shooter. Okay. We're getting characters resisting being deleted, I think. Wonderful. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh no, we've got like, they're like baby matrix squids. Oh, this is great. The scale of what we're looking at and the way it feels to move is really, 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 really good. Wake up, I don't have much time. Wake up! Wake up! Bugs took over. We are all gonna be deleted. Get up, we need to find RD. Right. We've got a lot of really nice motion stuff here. We've got a nice little double jump with a cute flip. Can slide on the wall, can jump off the wall. Have my little pointer spear. This feels great. And I talked about this when we played Paper Clay like a month or so back. But this is what you should aim for. If you make a platformer and you have a character-based platformer like this, players' first response to getting control of the character should be just to jump around and play with it like it's a little toy, right? And that Paper Clay had that same quality. Just jumping off of things and moving the character feels lovely. It feels like a really nice little toy vehicle to control. And if your platformer doesn't have that quality, then it's probably not going to do very well as a platformer, because that's kind of what those games are about at a fundamental level, or it's at least a big part of what makes them enjoyable when they are enjoyable. System player error, anomaly resolution, spear. This is our world map, I guess. The outskirts. Okay, let's go for it. Hi, fellow NPC. Where are you going? Can I talk to you? The player should be here anytime soon. Be careful out there. Collect the code before it touches the ground. Okay. Oh, he got me. Just gonna try and, I think my cutting off the edge of some things here. There we go, that's better. The kind of the spear type hunting thing and the bugs work really nicely together as a theme as well, because it makes it feel like a sort of low fantasy sort of survival situation, but it's also playing around with the idea of them being computer bugs. What did I just collect? Was that... I was 1 of 21 of something. Is that within the level, or is that generally? Whoa! Uh-oh, we glitching. He took the blue screen off the screen. I love the attitude of this character as well. This kind of it is, yeah, it is kind of got Rayman vibes. It's like just the attitude of the character is very, very strong, and I really like that. Oh, I don't know. Okay, I can throw my spear. That's cool. Yeah, often I'll see a game like this, and it's like a kind of cute animal or furry or something, and it sort of all feels like it's designed to evoke nostalgia for things like Crash Bandicoot or Spyro the Dragon. But those were games that at the time were designed to appeal to children. And the new games that are sort of trying to be nostalgic for those games don't really update themselves in a way that appeals to adults, unless you're just an adult that's really into that kind of thing, which is fine, but it doesn't feel like a very big section of people who would play that game. Whereas this, it's like, it's giving me all this nostalgia for like Rayman and Donkey Kong and stuff, but the attitude of it and the thought behind the story is a bit more mature, and it's like the sort of thing you can appreciate as an adult, and I like that. It shows an awareness that you can't just remake the thing you like. You might have to actually do some design and some creative direction and think about how to make the thing relevant to now, you know? Billy 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 boo. Great world map as well. Doomsday party time. Hi Death Girl, we're nearly 3/4 of the way there. This is the third game of 4. So this game is actually out now, and I generally don't cover games that are being commercially released on this stream, but this was also submitted before it was released, so it's fair enough. So yeah, look, there's a nice kind of environmental thing here where this has got a metal panel on, and that's why I can't throw my spear into it, and then it goes ding and flies back. Whereas the ones on this side are wood. Don't know if I can get through that though. Is there a way I can bring that down? I did buy a ticket. Okay. So now I need to, do I need to use the ticket? Okay, there we go. Okay, so that's just basically teaching us how to buy stuff and use our inventory. So, all the NPCs of this doomed game that we're in are having a are having an end of the world party. Wonderful. I don't know if this is supposed to be a valid thing that you do, but there's a little bit of QA tester in me that is always going to try and see if I can do the thing. Ah. Is that going to keep going back, or do I have to hit it every time? No, it's It's just turned it on now. That's good. There we go. That's probably the easier way to do that, isn't it? Oh, they're freaking out because there's bugs everywhere. Do you want a new skill? It's good stuff. I'd love a new skill. I'll give it to you for free if you bring me something to eat. I need sugar. It's a player skill, freshly cut from the code. Great. Bring me something sweet, please. I have the munchies. Okay, okay, okay. I get it. You want something to eat. Uh-oh. I got bugged. They remind me of the things in Stray. This is very, very good. Oh, what's that? Something. Get your man his juice. Ah. Excellent. Yeah, these like chandeliers and stuff are a very good example of how to design platformer features when you're trying to make a platformer that has a sort of, I'm going to say more realistic, right? Which is a weird thing to say in relation to this game, but if you think of the first game we played, which is doing more sort of abstract level design where it doesn't really matter if it looks like a real place. When you've got a game that's trying to look like a real place, it's like, how do you do things like moving platforms? Well, here we've got chandeliers, we've got these sort of ramshackle ramps and stuff that give us an interactive element in the environment. It's very well thought through, a lot of this stuff. Oh, I think he wants the donut that was on the table and I only picked up the drink. Foolish. Okay. I got his donut. I can take some bananas as well. I don't want to accidentally eat it though. There we go. Thank you for the donut. I can smell its delicious polygons. I do want a new skill, yeah. Remove the gear carefully and the code will break. Do that and you'll get the new skill. And of course, we never met. Okay, cool. Works for me. Let me get my chest that I got for doing that little side quest thing. That's the gear from the checkpoint. Hold RT. Ah, now I've got an aimable spear. I don't know if this game has devlogs. I would love to see sort of how this mechanic was built. Because I really wouldn't be surprised if the spear throwing was the basis of the whole game, right? And that has led to a really nice cohesive game, because we've got a game called Spear that is about being a little guy that goes around throwing a spear, and that is also an acronym, as we saw earlier. I can't remember what it was for. It was to do with some sort of code thing, and that both ties into the theme of the game of being a little guy in this game program, and it also creates an interesting little opposition because this stuff is supposed to be technical, this stuff is supposed to be code, and yet these little characters living in the game are actually very organic and sort of live in a down-to-earth rural life. They're not, you know, they're not little cyberpunk Tron characters, are they? They've got spears and jars and ramshackle doorways, and that's a really nice little kind of opposition that the game creates. And that's often how you give something an interesting flavour, is by mixing appeals, right? I think I've talked about this before on the channel. When you make a cute game, it's like, what else is it that makes the cute interesting, right? When you make a scary game, it's like, what else is it that makes the game makes your scary game interesting? So like if you take Animal World, for example, that's a cute game with animals in it, but it's also dark and mysterious. And what we're getting here is we're getting this kind of Cybertron type scenario of being people in a game, but the world we're in is very grounded, as you said in the chat a minute ago. It's very grounded, and these characters are very kind of organic, and it's a really nice sort of mix of flavors, I guess I'd call it.
Hello, stranger. Nice to meet you. Do you want a quest, don't you? Look, I wasn't supposed to give quests. I'm a background NPC, so I don't know what to say. Tell you what, bring me, a banana.
Amazing.
See what I did there? I said banana in a different color.
It's like deliberately got this thing where the text glitches out, like the I don't know what you call it, the kind of the style code around the text. It shows you it as it types out, and that could be an error, right? But if it's an error, it's one they've deliberately kept in to keep with the flavor of the game, and that's really neat. I like it.
Oh, I did it again. Banana, banana, banana. I'm sorry, I don't have other dialogue lines. I swear it's done. No more dialogue lines.
I mean, I can actually give you a banana if you want to feel like a real quest giver. Then I'm gonna. Here we go. Here we go, bro.
Thank you so much. You are truly a hero. Now take this. It's the key to my heart.
Oh, this is delightful. Really nice. Oh, yeah, you can... Oh, you can jump and you can do the aimed spear in the air as well. The BB code, yeah, the markup tags. Really nice. This guy looks like he might be a bit fancy.
Hello, customer. This is your lucky day. We have the Doomsday Sale. Looking for a quest? Buy this treasure map. It costs just a few pieces of code and can make you rich. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Bro's trying to sell me some Bitcoin.
Don't be deleted looking like this. Buy our coolest wig and die with style. Want a gorgeous moustache like mine? You can buy it at a fair price. Bye bye bye.
Okay. Amazing. I'm not going to go for the treasure map because I've only got 10 more minutes with this game today, and we're not going to have time to find a treasure map. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's great as well. The way that that opens and shuts, really, really nice. Giving a lot of kind of Sackboy, Little Big Planet vibes with the world animations and stuff here as well. The kind of bullet time you get when you aim the spear in the air is really feels really fun. Oh. And I think that is there to sort of teach me to do that, which is very smart. Oh, that's gonna turn on and zap me, I think, if I... Oh, that's what I did last time. I keep thinking the green thing is going to hurt me, and then I jump into the red thing, which is silly. Ugh. This is why I'm an NPC and not the hero. Can't blame me. Interesting. I've got to activate that and then get the spear onto it and then get across, I think. So it comes here. Oh dear. They cheesed me. They put a bug in that place I was trying to get to. Oh my goodness. Maybe I should just try and do something else. Nope. Learning to control the sort of sky spear bullet time is really challenging. There we go. Whoa. Oh, that's better. I have a quest, I think. Who are you? They're drunk. Too drunk to give me a quest. Ah. Don't think I have a key for that. Yeah, someone in the chat said this is a sort of a good one to watch being played. I mean, one of the things you would have noticed then as well, when I got stuck and I was trying to do that same thing over and over again, because there's so much flexibility to how these kind of jumping and spear mechanics work, you're not doing exactly the same thing every time, right? And that's one of the things about action games in general, designing for action games. You want there to be a lot of kind of flexibility in how it feels to move, jump and shoot around with those core mechanics, so that if someone has to try the same challenge over and over again, they're not kind of getting bored because they're doing the same thing each time. You know, they're They're trying a slightly different approach. They are, you know, having to respond to little things that change in the environment and stuff like that. Yeah, I think that speaks volumes that, you know, you watch me try and do the same thing, fail at it like 5 times or more, and each time it's slightly different, you know. That makes the thing more enjoyable to play. It also probably makes the thing less boring to watch the person do the same thing over and over again. So that was the town. So the levels have these kind of big hovering texts over them. We can go back to previous levels and look for hidden stuff, I think. It looks like we get some currency. Some of the code spawns on the map. Occasionally we can go out here and collect stuff. I'm gonna give this one 5 more minutes and then we'll move on to the last one. Ah, I need to jump up here. So we can jump on the map. We do a funny bouncy ball jump. Could die on the map as well. Classic. So here we've got sort of gates that are locked by different types of progress. So this is something where I need to have a currency. This is something where I need to have defeated a certain amount of big bugs. And that's interesting because it adds this meta exploration to this map. I love world maps, like classic Mario world maps. They do a lot of things. They make the world feel bigger without you actually having to have a continuous joined up world like we have in big AAA action games. And they also mean that if you get stuck on something, you have multiple things you can go and try and do. Works particularly well in like puzzle games where if you get stuck on one thing and you can't move forward at all, it's really frustrating. Like Baba Is You had that kind of stuff going on with its world map, and it was a really nice way of like mitigating the frustration you get from getting stuck on a particular puzzle. I don't think I can't open either of those things. I can't open this one because I don't have enough of those frames, whatever they are. So maybe I need to go back. So I did get the aimed spear ability after I'd done this level, so there might be things baked into this level that use this ability that I wasn't able to do the first time through. And again, that if that's true, then that's a great kind of structuring thing that they've done. Whoa! Because it gives you a reason to go back, and then it makes these levels feel more like places than just a level that exists to give you just a temporary challenge at a particular point in the game. Oh. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna jank my way up there. Doing some Skyrim mountaineering. Undo it. It seems like the kind of currency comes back on the levels, which means you can always go and grind for that. And the other things are things that you need to find that are sort of secrets in specific places. But if you play a level through from the beginning, you always get the main currency, which means that you can't really get stuck, which seems like a good call. Currency down there as well. Does that mean there's a whole area down there I haven't been in? Yeah, this is pretty great. I might do a longer stream with this at some point. One of these. Gotta kind of watch where it goes after each time you collect it. Wait, we got a chest and the final blue thing. Oh, 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 oh. And my question now is, do I have to actually finish the level to get my stuff? No, I can just go to the map. And that means I can go and unlock something now, I think. Missing code pieces. I've got 120 code pieces. Let me pay my code pieces. We found a grey box level. Very smart use of the theme to be able to like make more content that is probably faster to make. Yeah, so if I quit the level, I didn't get my third blue thing, so I think you get whatever you picked up to the checkpoint, maybe? I don't know. Ah! The being in a breaking down game that's been abandoned theme is doing so much work. It allows us to have all this weird variety of like a beautiful fantasy thing and then a grey box level. It's really, really smart. I think sometimes it can be very hit and miss to make a sort of, you know, game about a game type thing. It can be a bit of a cliche. But this is very, very charming. It's executing on the idea very, very well. Okay, we got a bug. Right, I'm going to leave that one be for now, because we've got one more to look at this stream. And someone asked, yeah, solo development. Yeah, amazing. Really, 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 really great. And yeah, that one is out now. I don't usually play games that are out on the stream, as I say, but I think it was submitted before it was out. I might do a longer stream on that at some point. I think that is really, really charming, and it's got a lot of things I like in there. I hope it does really well. Yeah, Paul said there's a lot of kind of smart stuff that like make the game easier to make, but this is kind of what I was talking about earlier, right? When you have constraints, like whatever your constraints are as a developer, like I cannot animate characters or whatever. It's fine to do that. It's fun to go with those constraints and say, well, I can't animate characters, so I'll make my game about rolling a ball. But you still need to have a user-facing reason for doing that, right? If this game didn't have the theme it has, and you wanted to do some levels that were in a forest and some levels that were just total blocks, you couldn't do that, right? You always have to think of things in a user-facing way and like design the thing so that your constraints create the fun thing for the user rather than just doing something because you can't do it or you're lazy or whatever. That's
good enough reason to initially do something, but it's not a reason why someone is going to like what you do. You have to incorporate your limitations into a kind of creative thing that is fun for people to enjoy. Yeah, that one's great. Let's check out Mole Maiden, which is a game about a maiden who is also a mole. I think. Not someone who has lots of moles. Unity game doesn't kill my camera. Just saying. That's the general thing I've gotten about these game engines since I started this channel. Unity games break my camera. No, sorry, Unreal games break my camera. Unity games don't. And Godot games just tend to crash a lot more generally. I don't have a lot of opinions about game engines. I think, you know, you can tell that some are better for making certain types of things, but ultimately it usually comes down to like, what are you able to get on with best as a tool. Jump, dash, and burrow your way through one of Mole Maiden's areas. Venture down to Uncharted Ravine and meet Alan. A vampire? Fine. The Burrow League is the most popular sport in R&D Mine, and 14-year-old Penny dreams of claiming the Burrow League champion title from her sister Copra. To do so, she must leave home, explore R&D Mine, and defeat the 4 Burrow League captains. You find yourself deep in R&D Mine, exploring Uncharted Ravine, where you will encounter a character named Alan. Press any button to continue. So, I'm going to be digging with my drill arms. I'm going to be jumping. And if I double jump, I do a boom. We've got a general kind of digging theme here. Got a yucky silverfish guy to beat up. And now we're going to do some... Yeah! That's great! That's so good! It's really, really unruly, this control for the drill mechanic when you're going through the sand. That's great. That's really, really nice. I love that. This is kind of what I was talking about earlier with theming in platformers, right? If you make a character-based platformer and you have a character and whatever they are, if they're a robot, if they're an animal, like, it needs to have something to do with the mechanics of the platforming, or something you can do as a character, because character-driven platformers are all about your character being a fun little vehicle to experience controlling. And this is a great example of that. You know, we're a mole girl, we're drilling, we've got a digging mechanic. That's a really, really nice marrying of the theme with the character design. You can press and hold the drill button while holding a directional input to aim your drill. Hold the direction you want to go in, then release the drill button to coil launch. I'll turn into a drill like that. And just like jump across spaces, or I can jump into the sand like that, I think. If I do that. Oh no. I would go as far as to say that it doesn't even have to be platformers, really. I mean, it can be 3D platformers and stuff as well, but if you go all the way back to Sonic and stuff like that, there's a sense that, and Mario as well, there's a sense that the entire world and all the level design is there to support what the character does. You know, Mario is a plumber, he goes down pipes, and he eats mushrooms. I don't know why he eats mushrooms, but, you know, that's his kind of deal. And Sonic is like, Sonic lives in a world with loop-the-loops in it, because that's a fun thing to do when you're controlling Sonic. And I think having this like direct relationship between what the character is, what they can do, and how the entire world of the game is built is just such a crucial thing for character-based action games. And I've seen lots of talk about this. Like, if you watch Chris Zukowski talk about which genres don't do well on Steam, he'll often talk about like
You know, the type of game not to do is a game where you control a character and you move them around. Those don't do well. And I would say that the reason those don't do well is because there is a high volume of them being made that do not get what you need to do to make a good character platform or character-based action game in general, which is have a character that is interesting to learn how to pilot, right, with some unique characteristics about how they move, whether it's Sonic the Hedgehog running really fast and looping, or Mole Girl digging a hole. And then you need to like execute on that through building an entire world that is designed around having fun controlling that character. You don't just design a character with some abilities and then make a world that looks like a real place and go, oh, that'll do. It's like the world is a testing ground for your ability to control and master that character, so it should be designed with that character in mind, even if that doesn't make realistic or story sense, because people are accepting of that kind of stuff. You know, I think a lot of talk about, oh, this genre does good or this genre does bad, really just comes down to there are often lots of people making games in a particular genre and just not executing on it well because they don't get how to do it well, or it's just a hard genre to pull off. I'm dreadfully sorry, my dear. I did not mean to startle you. Or did I? A warm welcome to the deep dark depths of R&D mine, my dear. I am the Borough League captain. Alan Hitchcock at your service. You must be Penny Copper, the champion's sister. My, you look cute enough to eat. Don't eat me. Ho ho ho, fret not, my dear. I shan't partake in such a gruesome act. I mean, think of all the calories. My, it looks like you have already earned 3 medals. You're quite the decorated fighter, aren't you? Well, let's not waste any time. The arena is just beyond these caves. Follow me. And do watch your step. It's quite dark in these tunnels. Ha 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 ha! It is quite dark in these tunnels, he's right. Ah, that's a mine. I thought it was a treasure. The switching between the platforming control and this more kind of driving thing feels really, really good. It's hard to control in a really fun way. Unruly. My word, what on earth was that sound? My sacred family urn! Oh, my precious urn, made of the rarest porcelain from the ancient kilns of Maiden, the revered city known to connoisseurs as the porcelain capital of the world, whose golden splendor illuminated even the darkest corners of my home. Oh, woe is this day, woe I say. How could you, Penny? This urn was one of my most prized possessions, an heirloom carrying the ashes of our ancestors that simply cannot be replaced. I'm sorry. Be it so or not, it still does not change the fact that my sacred family urn has been shattered. Boo-hoo-hoo-hoo, boo-boo-boo-boo-boo-hoo. I'll buy you a new one. What a splendid idea, Miss Penny. After all, I do run the biggest mining operation in the complex. From this moment forward, you are an official intern of Hitchcock Excavations. Come this way and I'll begin your orientation. We've become indentured to him. We've become indentured to him. I can ham up. I need to work out Penny's voice. I haven't really got very far with workshopping that. I'll just take whatever you have to give you a head start in paying off this debt. He's on the Tom Nook scheme. He's taking my money. Taking my money. I'm just going to shrink myself down because I'm cutting out some user interface over here.
I think Penny should talk like this. Oh, mister, I didn't mean to smash your vase. Yeah, and the whole conversation about like how to build a good platformer, right? I know it sounds a bit obvious when I lay it out like that, but the amount of games I've seen that don't really get that. And I think this and the first game and the third game got that. And the second game, the Grav shift, was not really going for character anyway, so it's not as much of an issue that doesn't like deliver on that, because that's not what it's trying to do. But you just see so many platformers where I think it's often like you get a lot of platformers that are designed by someone who is like an illustrator, right? And they have their OCs, they have their little characters they draw, and they just want to put them in a world. And so they're like, hey, I'm a furry, I like to draw people with fox heads, here's my game about a person with a fox head. It's like, okay, cool, make them do fox stuff, make them dig tunnels, make them steal chickens, right? Make it relevant to like the gameplay experience. Don't just have a random furry character that is nothing to do with anything, you know? Who's this? Hey, howdy. Hey there, cutie pie. I'm the nano unit for rapid symbiotic enhancement, or nurse. If you're ever feeling low on health or want to save your progress, come talk to me and I'll make you all better. Want me to heal you up? Yes, cool, blimey, nurse, yes. Okay then, let's make you all healthy. Healthy, healthy, healthy. Okay, cutie pie, get on out there and do your best. I will, thank you. Good, welcome to your very first day on the job. My operations here in Uncharted Ravine run like clockwork, mostly because all of my employees have been replaced with robots. And yet here you are, ready to pay off your debt. You're a bona fide modern John Henry. Okay, kid, here's the skinny. I've got 3 jobs I need you to do. You pick the one you want to do first, and when you're done, come right back to me for the next one. Once all 3 jobs are finished, we can consider our debts paid, and I'll give you your fancy Burrow League medal. Sound like a deal? Oh, and don't forget to save your game often. Alright, minion, what will it be? Okay, interesting. Interesting. I think we might have a kind of novel game structure here, where it's like, yeah, you're going through the levels as assignments, right? So we're doing platformer stuff, but it's almost like framed like XCOM or Darkest Dungeon, where your boss is going, right, you're going out on a run now. That's a neat way of structuring a platformer, I think, in the modern times. The worker Jonah's job it was to deliver charges across the ravine. He ran out of power too. So that's where you come in, minion. Take these batteries, deliver them to all my robots. Yes, sir. Okay, come on. Too much talky. Do I go down here? Where do I go? Do I go A? So I've got some time. I'm delivering a battery. I have a map that does not tell me where to go, which is a shame because I need to know where to go, so I'm just going to go that way. Can't go that way. I get bonked. Yeah, I think the time did reset, so it's like we get kind of
put into a loop of attempting the level from that guy. I'm getting a lot of like there's quite a novel game structure here, and we've spent a lot of words on story type stuff, and I'm not sure whether it's explained everything that I need to know, which is a shame because we had so much story in that time. I mean, it's told me what I'm doing thematically, but there's an issue here where I'm not being told where to go at all. And maybe that's the point. Maybe that's part of the design, is that they're going for a you must explore, we're not going to give you a map marker type thing. But I think maybe gating some stuff so that I just can't see... Can't go the wrong way too early. I've got a nice little light. That's cool. Okay. Is that what I'm looking for? Is that the goal? That tiny little orange thing on the map? No, I can't go that way. Yeah, I think the map stuff might be a little bit weak in this, which is a shame because everything else, the gameplay, the characterization, the art is all fantastic, but I'm struggling a little bit with the way the map works. Okay, we can get up there. Is this where I'm supposed to be going? That is a very strangely structured demo, guys. Was that just an arbitrary end based on playtime? Very strange. Okay, I'm going to go into boss rush mode and just try and get more of a feel for the gameplay, because the story mode, quite frankly, that felt a bit broken. Maybe I died. I don't know. It wasn't super clear what happened. So we're able to kind of skip that story section and just go to the bosses in boss rush mode. He's not particularly threatening at the moment. Excuse me, what was that? Why is it taking me back here? I was supposed to be in boss rush. Yeah, I mean... Like, I think the yellow is the highlighted thing on that menu as well, and the white looks like the highlighted thing. This is one of those games where you can tell... I don't know if it's a solo development, but it feels so strongly like the product of one person who has some very kind of strong strengths and some very weak weaknesses, you know? Company's called Tasty Games. It's a Bossvania, Boss Rush times Metroidvania about a young girl leaving home to become a pro wrestler. Yeah, it's hard to tell, but it just feels like there are some very weak areas here in terms of some of the... I mean... Let's try boss rush one more time. The thing is, I know this game has been in the queue for a while, so this demo has been up for a while. I would have liked to have played it sooner, but this is kind of the sort of stuff that should have been caught if it's a very, you know, prominent bug type thing. Time has gone away now though, so... Okay, he's doing some sort of missile-y things at me. Is there anything I can do about them? Ah, that's what I do about them. The mix of mechanics work very well in the boss rush mode. I wonder if some of the arenas have a little bit more sand in so I can dig my way up the side or whatever. Yeah, I need to sort of master that bigger jump to get up there because there are so many opportunities to hit him that I'm missing out on. So I think what I really need to do is focus on hitting him. I mean, this is quite a decent like boss puzzle, what's going on. I need to focus on prioritizing hitting him and then like only try and clear the missiles when there's too many of them, although you can clear them by getting them to hit your platforms as well. Okay. I think the boss rush mode should skip the story stuff as well. Just give me that taunt, that one line, and not the lines before it. Is there anything I can dig on this level? Doesn't seem like it. We've got like a whole core mechanic that I can't use in this one at all, which feels like a bit of a bummer because it's only the second boss. It's supposed to be a mole girl that digs. Ah! Ah! Just pulling me in. Let's just take a look at the other couple of bosses and see what they do. They're all pretty neat. I think having that one where I couldn't dig so early on felt like a bit of a cop-out. Because I'm assuming that the left to right in this room is the order that you face them in the main game. Right. I've had enough of that for now. I really like the kind of set of mechanics that you have in that. I particularly like digging through the sand, and I wish there was a way for that to be incorporated more into the actual boss battles, because that's really, really neat and feels like the mole girl theme is used better when we're in the Metroidvania bits doing the digging around in the sand. You reckon the vampire was the last boss? That makes sense, because he's the boss of the whole company, right? Thank you all for joining. I've got to chip off and get some other stuff done now. As always, if you're new to these streams and you want to send a game in, you can. There is a form on my website, indiegameclinic.com. You can find the form on there. You can find it on the homepage of this channel as well. And that is where you submit games for this stream. They have to be games that aren't finished yet, because this is supposed to be a design crit stream. So rather than doing what games journalists, indie game streamers generally do and play kind of released games and talk about them when they're already done, the point of this is we generally play games that someone's still working on, pick them apart a little bit. A lot of people that join and are in the chat are developers who are working on their own games, and the purpose of doing these streams and having these conversations isn't just to showcase games. It is to have a way to talk about game design on smaller indie projects, because, you know, like, I don't know, if you think of other YouTube channels about game design, Extra Credits. I love Extra Credits. It's a very good introduction to lots of design concepts. I love Game Maker's Toolkit. But it's generally focused on big games and like Mario and Zelda and big AAA games, rather than stuff that indies do. And I think we can make more helpful game design content for indie game developers by focusing on smaller games, because they're kind of closer to what you would be making. So I don't do this stream to showcase games per se. It's just a nice side effect of what happens. So that is why, if you email me your game and say, please play my game, please show my game, here is a Steam key, and your game is already out, I just delete it if it's an email anyway, because I have a form for that is there to make my life easier and to make sure that I can filter the games, exclude the AI stuff, exclude stuff that's already on sale, all of that kind of stuff. And yeah, so just use the form if you want to submit a game. And the important thing to know is I don't play them in chronological order. So if you submit something now, it could be in a stream in the next month. It could be in the stream in 4 months. It really depends on the theme of the games I can put together. So this time it was 4 platformers. Upcoming streams have different themes. Let me just see what we've got scheduled, because some of them are done by the theme of the game. Some of them are done by the game genre. It really just depends what is in that waiting list, what is sitting in my spreadsheet waiting to be played. What do we have coming up? Let's have a look. We have got, next week, we have Mex and Tech, which is basically not a type of food that you get on the border of Texas and Mexico. It is games that were themed around like engineering, building machines, that kind of stuff. They're not necessarily games in the same genre. They're games that have that same theme, and that does maybe lend itself to certain genre things, but they are it's a thematic choice. And then is that actually next week? No, that's in. Why does this not go in chronological order? Next week on the 19th, is that right? Yeah, on the 19th we have the Wild West stuff here. So yeah, that's the most recent. That's the kind of upcoming one. We're going to do a tutorials and player onboarding live lecture in a couple of weeks' time, and then all of these streams are already scheduled. So
a neon punk thing, slice of life games that are about grandmas and stuff like that, mechs and tech. And then once a month we have this, the community monthly, which is where I only play games that are coming from inside the Discord. So games by supporters of this channel. And that's kind of one of the only places you'll see me play the same game twice, because all of these other playtesting Indies Under the Knife streams are the games you sent in and I play them once and give some feedback, and that's it really. Occasionally there's a game that I just really like and I want to play it, and I want to play it for a couple of hours on a stream, so I'll schedule something else, like, you know, these ones where I played Dawnfolk and Negative Space. That really just depends on what else I've got going on in terms of work and family stuff. But all of these ones up here are the regular things that we do on this channel. So every Thursday we do Indies Under the Knife, which is what you've just seen, which is 3 or 4 games that have been sent in, grouped into a theme, and then let's kind of play them and talk about game design. So if you've just kind of tuned into this out of the blue, never interacted with the channel before, then hi, welcome. Please subscribe to the channel. I have a Patreon that kind of supports this channel and makes it possible as well. And I'm really appreciative of everyone who supports what we do here that way. Jamply, we have one of the devs in the chat. They're on a little bit of a delay. So, yeah, thank you all for joining and have a nice day, folks. Thank you all for coming. See you soon.